In NASCAR's 75-year history, there have been many numbers come and go. On any given weekend, you will see 36 to 40 unique numbers on the track, and each of those numbers has a story to tell. Hi, I'm your host Matt, and this is NASCAR Number History, presented by Dogleg Media. In this series, we look to tell the stories of each of those numbers, who won with the number first, who found victory lane the most, and every other driver to grab a trophy in the number. We go in numerical order, and today we explore numbers 45 through 49. If you miss numbers 1 through 44, the number history playlist will be linked below. But with that out of the way, let's dive into some more NASCAR number history. Let's start this one off with the number 45. The 45 has 9 total wins with 5 different drivers. It's competed in 881 races with a 1% winning percentage. The driver with the first win in the 45 would also be the driver with the most wins, Eddie Pagan. Pagan would collect the first win for the number in 1956 at San Mateo, where he would start from the pole and win the race in a 37-car field. Pagan would win 4 times in the number, making him the winningest driver to pilot the 45. All 4 of his Cup Series wins would come in the number, with 1 coming in 1956 and 3 coming in 1957. And now let's move on to some other winners in the 45, starting with Leroy Yarborough. Yarborough, while having no relation to NASCAR legend Cale Yarborough, would be a winner in the Cup Series, with his first career victory coming in the 45. He would collect 2 wins in the number, making all 17 of his starts with the 45 in 1964. Yarborough would win 14 times in the Cup Series, and was the first driver to complete the Triple Crown in a season, winning the Daytona 500, the Southern 500, and the Coca-Cola 600 in the same season, doing so in 1969. And a number to still be discussed. Who can tell me what number that is? Yarborough would be named to NASCAR's 50 Greatest Driver list in 1998. And then there's Kurt Busch. This one hurts to discuss. The 2004 Cup Series champion and future Hall of Famer would get his start at 2311 Racing in the 45 in 2022. He would break a 58-year winless drought for the number with his win at Kansas, locking himself into the playoffs. What NASCAR fans didn't know at the time was that this would be the last time we would see Kurt in victory lane, as he would be sidelined with a head injury after a crash at Pocono during qualifying. This injury would eventually lead Kurt to announce his retirement from full-time competition, a real blow to fans in the sport. Kurt is still extremely involved with the team and has expressed a desire to get back into the car, and I know I certainly would love to see him back in any capacity. Kurt was named to NASCAR's 75 Greatest Driver list and is certainly a future Hall of Famer. And then there's Bubba Wallace. With Kurt Busch's injury, the team decided to put Bubba Wallace in the 45 car to compete for that year's owner championship, as Bubba did not qualify for the Drivers' Championship in 2022. Bubba would get a massive win in the second race of the playoffs at the same track Kurt would get his win that season, Kansas, marking his second career win and the first to finish under green. This was a super cool win to see, with Bubba giving an iconic shush to the haters after the win. And this is a new segment to the series, as heavily requested by the viewers. Thanks for the suggestions, y'all. This makes it even more interesting and informative. Here are some honorable mentions. And there is no better driver to start our honorable mentions for the 45 than Adam Petty. Adam was the 4th generation of Petty to compete in NASCAR competition, being the son of Kyle Petty and great-grandson of pioneer Lee Petty. He would tragically pass away after a crash at New Hampshire during practice. He would suffer a basilar skull fracture, the same injury that would take Dale Earnhardt's life less than a year later. Adam is one of NASCAR's greatest what-ifs, up there with Davey Allison and Alan Kulwicki. So we take this moment to remember Adam Petty. And our last honorable mention will be the father of Adam Petty, Kyle, who would drive the 45 car to end his career as a tribute to his son. Anytime you see Kyle, you will more than likely see him with his 45 hat on, and honestly it's really touching to see the love and memory carried out by him. What could have been in 2007 with Kyle coming so close to victory in the Coca-Cola 600 in the 45, finishing 3rd after starting 36th. And then we move on to the current driver, and the current driver of the 45 is Tyler Reddick. He is also the most recent to win in the number, with his win at COTA in 2023. Reddick was originally announced to make the move to 2311 in 2024 after his contract with RCR expired, but with Kurt Busch's injury and Kyle Busch signing with RCR, they were able to end the contract short, allowing Reddick to get an early arrival to the team. With the most wins being 4 in the number, it is extremely likely that Reddick will take over sole ownership as winningest driver in the number. Reddick is still in the prime of his career, with many more years left. He's a week in and week out threat and could very well bring the 45 its first championship. And now we move on to the 46. The 46 has 10 total wins with 3 different drivers. It's competed in 470 total races with a 2.1 win percentage. And much like the 45, the first to win in the 46 would also be the winningest driver in the number as well, this time being Speedy Thompson. Thompson would get the number's first win in 1953 at North Wilkesboro. Speedy would earn 7 of the number's 10 total wins, including the 1957 Southern 500 driving for his cell phone team. Thompson is a 20-time winner in the Cup Series, with nearly half of those coming in the 46. And then we move on to other winners, and there's only 2 of them. The first being Bob Wellborn. The Convertible Series legend is back again. Wellborn would grab 1 win in the 46, coming in 1959 at Fayetteville. And then there's Jack Smith. Smith is also the last driver to take the 46 to victory lane. That is, if you don't count Cole Trickle. He would collect 2 total wins in the number driving a cell phone car, with the number's last win coming in 1962 at Concord. And I didn't get any suggestions for an honorable mention for the 46, but we kind of just talked about a legend of the number, Cole Trickle. Trickle would pilot the 46 City Chevrolet machine in the film Days of Thunder, an absolute must-watch for NASCAR fans. And here's the fun fact for you. Jeff Gordon was originally supposed to pilot the 46 for Hendrick Motorsports in his debut, but conflicts with the producers of the movie prevented them from using the number, resulting in Gordon getting his famous 24 car. And then we move on to the current driver, and there isn't a current driver of the 46 car. The last time it ran was in 2019 with Joey Gase piloting it for 1 race at Kansas. The last full-time driver of the number would be Michael Annett in 2016 for H. Scott Motorsports. The number hasn't won in 60 years. How long will it be before we see another full-time ride for the number, much less a win? And then we move on to the 47. And here's one that surprised me. I didn't think the 47 had this much success in the Cup Series, but just look at these stats. It's been to victory lane 26 total times with 9 different drivers. It's competed in 1,281 total races with a 2% win percentage. And the chain has been broken. The first to win is not the winningest for this one. Bonnie Flock would be the first to win in the number, doing so in 1950 at Langhorne, in NASCAR's second ever Cup season. Flock is a 19-time winner in the Cup Series, and he competed in NASCAR's first ever race in 1949 at Charlotte. The 47 had a lot more wins than I thought it would, and the majority of the credit goes to this man, the winningest driver, Jack Smith. Smith would win 18 times in the number, winning every year from 1957 to 1962 in the number. He would win NASCAR's Most Popular Driver award as well in 1959. He would collect all of his wins as an owner-driver, and certainly made his mark on this number. And let's touch on some other winners, and every other winner in the number is a one-time winner, and there are 7 of them. I think it's time for another lightning round. We haven't done one of these since the 21. First up is Buck Baker. A 2-time champion and Hall of Famer, Baker would win 1 race in the number, coming in a crown jewel, the 1960 Southern 500, winning in his first start in the number. He would only make 2 starts in the 47, both driving for Jack Smith. And then there's AJ Foyt, another legend to win in the 47. He would have the same achievement as Buck Baker, winning in his first start in the number, winning at Daytona in 1964 for Nichols Engineering. And then there's Dick Hutcherson. Would you believe me if I told you Hutcherson would also win in his first race in the number? Well, he did. As a matter of fact, this would be his only start in the number, winning at Hillsboro in 1965. Next up is Ron Bouchard. Alright, so Bouchard wouldn't win in his first start in the number. It would take him 10 starts to get the win in 1981 at Talladega. This would, however, be Bouchard's only Cup Series victory. Moving right along, we have Morgan Shepherd. And what's with drivers getting wins early on into racing this number? Morgan Shepherd would win in his 3rd ever start in the number, in 1986 at Atlanta driving for Race Hill Farm Team. And then the last to win before our current driver is the second AJ Allmendinger. Allmendinger would break a 28-year winless drought for the number, collecting his first career win in the number, grabbing the trophy in 2014 at Watkins Glen for JTG Doherty Racing. And our only honorable mentions for the number came from ITCPS for that last lap battle at the Glen between Ambrose and Allmendinger. And then for our current driver, suggested by Beep Boop 306 and Caseyberg, so let's jump into that. Our current driver, and highly suggested for his amazing paint schemes, is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse is also the most recent to win in the number, grabbing the biggest win of his career, winning the 2023 Daytona 500. Stenhouse and JTG have been consistent all year long, and have shown winning speed multiple times this season. How many more wins do you see Ricky grabbing in the 47? Alright, here we are. Now we get to yet another legendary number in the Cup Series, and it's the most recent number to join legendary status thanks to one man, the 3rd and most recent 7-time champion and my personal favorite driver. I will try to keep the personal bias away, but know that it will be difficult for me. Let's look at the stats. The 48 has 91 total wins with 4 different drivers. It's competed in 1,684 races with a 5.4 win percentage. The first to win in the number would be Bill Norton in 1951 at Gardena. I really couldn't find too much information on him. I didn't even find a single photo. From what I could gather, he only made 4 career starts from 1951 to 1952. And then we move on to other winners. And the only other driver to win that isn't the winningest driver or the current driver would be James Hilton. Hilton would win 2 times in the number, both coming in his self-owned Hilton Motorsports car. These would be the only 2 wins of his career. And here he is, the most recent 7-time champ and winningest driver in the 48, Jimmie Johnson. Johnson would get his start in 2001 on a part-time basis for Hendrick Motorsports in the 48. In his rookie season, he would earn the pole for the Daytona 500 and would tie a rookie record for wins with 3 coming in 2002. 7-time holds a record in NASCAR that I personally don't ever think will be broken, winning 5 consecutive championships from 2006 to 2010. He would then win his 6th championship in 2013 and his record-tying 7th in 2016. Johnson's list of crown jewel victories is also impressive, winning the Daytona 500 twice, the Coke 600 4 times, the Brickyard 400 4 times, the Southern 500 twice, and the $1 Million All-Star Race 4 times. Johnson was also named the AP Male Athlete of the Year in 2009, an award won by legends Michael Phelps, Tom Brady, LeBron James, and many others. He is still the only motorsports athlete to ever win this award. The most impressive part of Jimmie's run is that he won all 83 races and 7 championships with 1 number, 1 sponsor, 1 crew chief, 1 team, and 1 manufacturer. Johnson would make 684 starts in the 48, and with his 83 wins, that's an astounding 12% win percentage. Jimmie is now a team owner, and will be discussed as the most recent to drive another number later in this series. And who knows, maybe he can be the most recent winner too. I know, that's very wishful thinking for this fan. I could talk about Jimmie Johnson and his accomplishments for hours, but I won't let my personal bias come in on this. He is a Mount Rushmore driver in NASCAR history and is certainly a future Hall of Famer. And now to honorable mentions. We have some paint schemes requested for Jimmie and our current driver, who will be discussed shortly. Jared Diamond 5133 suggested some pretty incredible Jimmie schemes, like the Always in Our Heart schemes to pay tribute to Ricky Hendrick and his Man of Steel Superman car he won at Fontana with. And Ninja Xavier 2 suggested the Alex Bowman 2021 primary and his Nashville scheme from that season. And the Nashville scheme is still one of my favorite Ally schemes of all time. And speaking of Alex Bowman, he's our current driver of the 48 and is Jimmie Johnson's successor. As a lifelong Jimmie fan, it hurts to see someone else in his iconic number, but it is nice to know that there's a driver capable of winning behind the wheel. Bowman would break a 4-year winless drought for the number in 2021, and he would go on to win 4 times that season. Alex has 5 total wins in the 48 and has shown speed and consistency. The last part of 2022 and the first part of 2023 has been injury-ridden for Bowman, so we hope to see that go away and have him consistently behind the wheel. I like Bowman, and I know that he has the talent to win many more races. How many more do you think he gets? And let's end this video off with the 49. A very familiar name is making a return for this one. Actually, all 3 of this number's winners have been mentioned multiple times in this series. Let's dive in. The 49 has 7 total wins with 3 different drivers. It's competed in 669 races with a 1% win percentage. This is yet another number where the driver to first pilot the number to victory lane also has the most wins for the number, and it's the convertible king Bob Wellborn. Wellborn would first take the number to victory lane in 1957 at Martinsville, and as mentioned before, he's the winningest driver for the number, with 5 of its 7 wins. We have said this before, but Wellborn would really shine in the convertible series, winning 3 straight championships. He would collect 9 total Cup Series wins, and 5 of those would come in the number 49. And then we look at other winners, starting off with Jim Paschal. The man mentioned in 4 of the 5 numbers last week makes a return this week. Paschal would win 1 time in the 49, in 1958 at Asheville, where he would win from the pole position. And he makes his return once more. It's Bobby Allison. Allison is the last driver to take the 49 to victory lane, doing so in 1971 at Winston-Salem. It seemed like we had a little break from Allison, but he's back for this one, and he will make many more appearances in this series. And we actually had a couple of honorable mentions for this one. One of them I had no idea about, and the other one is a paint scheme I also love. So let's look at them. Ann Case 8673 mentioned Stanley Smith. who is one of a very short list of drivers to survive a basilar skull fracture. This same injury would claim the lives of Dale Earnhardt and Adam Petty. Ernie Irvan would be one of the other drivers to survive this injury. This was a nasty wreck that happened in 1993, and it would lead NASCAR to mandate roof flaps to help prevent the cars from flipping during accidents. And then Alex Fleming 0381 suggested an incredible paint scheme, Ken Schrader's 49 Schwann scheme. I love this paint scheme, and while it never won, there's just something about that color combination that's amazing to me. And then we move on to the current driver. And I mentioned it last video, but we're going to end this video off with a number without a current driver as well. As a matter of fact, there hasn't been a dedicated full-time driver in the 49 since Ken Schrader raced that Schwann scheme in 2005. The last to drive the number would be Chad Fincham in 2020, where he would make 3 starts for MBM Motorsports, with the last start for the number coming at the Fall Texas race. This one has a long winless drought attached to it, and without a dedicated full-time driver, I don't see that changing anytime soon. And that'll do it for numbers 45 through 49. We had another episode that featured one of the 3 7-time champs, and this will be the last of the series to feature their winningest number. As always, I'm prone to forgetting drivers. Let me know which drivers of any of these numbers I may have missed for this one. If you haven't seen numbers 1 through 44, the number history playlist will be linked below. Be sure to check them out. We will be back next week for every number in the 50s. We did this for the 30s, and the 50s have even less win than the 30s did, so buckle up for another 10 number installment. If you liked the video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It helps a ton and I definitely appreciate it. We are extremely close to 1,000, and I can't thank y'all enough for the support. Be sure to check out the community tab of the channel. We do cool little giveaways like autographed merchandise and diecasts, as well as updates and polls for the channel. You definitely don't want to miss it. We also just started a Discord server, so go over to the About section of the channel and you'll find the link there if you want to join. But that'll do it for us here at Dogleg Media. I'm Matt, your host, and you've been watching NASCAR Number History. I'll see you next time.